What's up, everybody? This is Dan here with another review for the CODEX station. Today, I will be reviewing the 6-issue miniseries Wolverine: The End that was published by Marvel Comics between January 2004 and December 2004. This was written by Paul Jenkins with art by Claudio Castanelli, colors by Paul Mounts, and letters by Dave Sharp. So, this was another in a series of the End books that Marvel did in the early 2000s as a way to show what they were presenting as the final stories for each of their characters. Now, as we know, things like that never really end up being the final of anything, but they did them, a series of them for the X-Men, they did them for the Punisher and the Hulk and a bunch of different ones. So, of course, Wolverine, being one of their most popular characters, was going to get his own as well. So this story, as you would guess, takes place in the future. And it has an aging Wolverine who is living in isolation in Canada, long after all of his teammates have died. He's, as you would expect, with his healing factor and long life, has outlived all of them. And the only real connection he has at this point to the outside world is there's someone that's in the small town that's closest to him that comes up and brings him supplies and magazines and whatever else from the outside world. And it's interesting because even that character talks about how he started bringing this stuff to Wolverine when he to Logan when he was a kid, and he himself is now an old man. And there is a series of events that lead him on this final adventure around the world to find out the truth about his origins, where he finds out that not everything he believed about himself and his past is actually true. So it was written by Paul Jenkins, who was also the writer of Origin, which definitively finally told Wolverine's origin story, his real name, where he comes from, how he got to be Wolverine. And I guess this is meant to be kind of a bookend to that because it references that series quite a bit in it. And then being the same writer too, I imagine that it was not a coincidence that they picked him. The way the series starts off is kind of intriguing that, as I said, that, this is well in the future where he has outlived everybody just for the fact that, he's as long lived as he is. And you see what the X-Men have become, what they are in the future, where they're not this outlawed renegade mutant superhero team anymore, but they're more like this futuristic police force. And as he encounters some of these new characters, they all look at him in different ways. Some of them look at him and kind of all like, oh, this is, this legendary X-Men. Some of them kind of dismiss him. And so it starts off interesting, but about halfway through, it just starts to get muddled. And I don't know if it necessarily loses focus, but some of the things that they're trying to do with the story and some of these revelations just kind of get thrown out there. And there's these bombshell revelations that are supposed to be in it that for me just kind of landed with a thud. I'm someone that was of the mind that they never should have released the origin book for Wolverine. They never should have given him this definitive origin the way that they did, as he's more interesting as a character, where you don't know everything about his past and where he's from, and you get these little glimpses of it, and some things we know to be true and some things we think are true, and then it turns out that they're not. And with this book being so tied heavily into the origin series, I think that kind of hurts it, because it's like, oh, we revealed all this stuff, but hey, guess what? Yeah, not all of it's true. And, I just kind of found that to be annoying. The artwork too, I was not a huge fan of it. Didn't really dig the style of it. It was okay, but it was nothing that I would be buying this for the art. I got these, the series as a set. It was 5 of the 6 issues. I got them all as a buck, so I just picked them up and sat there to read them. And after I read them, honestly, knowing knowing what I know now after having read the story, I probably would have just taken my $5 and spent it on a few other issues. So overall, I would rate this a 5 out of a 10. If you're a diehard Wolverine fan, or you're a big fan of this series of books, the end books that Marvel did in the early 2000s, then this is something that you can read. But otherwise, I would recommend not really bothering with it, because it's not really worth it. And as we know, this isn't the definitive end for him or for any of the characters that they did on these. So just the premise itself doesn't really follow through. So make sure you check us out online at thecodexstation.com. You can get some merch. You can meet the team. You have links to all of our socials. You can see all the shows and everything we have coming up. And until next time, I will catch you by the spinner rack.